I always look for, and I've done other stories on human-type aliens, is that they usually overdress. All the guys...
We're going to see an example of that in a bit.
They think everybody wears a suit and tie.
You see
picnic
Val.
attire. Yeah.
Explain who the people are in order on the screen.
Okay, well, there's Jill, who has got high heels on and a very, very beautiful handbag in leather. She looks like Grace Kelly. And there's Donn, Val's brother, and there's Val Thor. Val is the one on the end that's taking notes, because what Val
and he was
did
listening to
Howard Menger
speak.
talk. I know. It's like, stranger at the Pentagon. Could he leave the Pentagon? Yes, he could go where he wanted.
He was like us.
Yeah.
But better dressed.
Yeah, and there's 100 people in this photo, because these photos are incredible. And they're just sitting and getting an outdoor lecture. And we actually enlarge in what Val was writing. And the first sentence is, "We are one."
Yes.
And I was very, very impressed by that, because I mean, here's a contactee. They're in the contactee's backyard with his first wife, Rose, in Highbridge. And by the way, the reason why I think this is important, these photos, is because when I went back with David Kalbasser and Bill Crowley, we wanted to stand in the very spot where Val and Jill and Donn were, because we felt that if we believed there was no time, that we were there in the 1953s, and they were here with us.
There you are at the tree.
Yeah, well, because I had to find the exact location. It was like, that's field research.
Right, it is, and you're famous for that.
Well, that's the only way I can find anything out.
Yeah, I know, and you're the best. And so when they would originally show up here, they had their own native garb on, which was almost like a bodysuit, that we would classically know of. And the women had kind of a tunic that was flowy. They had flat shoes, very thin shoes, but flat. And so that it was more like what you would imagine in a futuristic scenario. And so they had to take them to the clothing stores and get them all, to the hair salons and such, and to the barber and all this, to get them so that they could blend easily and walk among us.
Exactly.
And so let's move on then so they're giving Menger messages. They've been looking after him his whole life. They're telling him about health and well-being, and in a little bit, we'll talk about some of the technology that he discovered when he went on board with them, and all of these. Same with Adamski, they went on board these craft.
Same with Van Tassel, he went on that, and in Italy we had Eugenio Siracusa that met these people and looked exactly like this, with the bodysuits and so forth. Yeah. So it isn't they just came to the United States. They in the 50s,
representation, whoever saw them at that time,
right?
Around the world.
And Adamski and Eugenio went to all the heads of state to try to change things.
So let's talk now. Let's go into Val Thor's time. He was over a fair amount of time he spent here in the United States, and was meeting in the Pentagon, and was meeting with President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon. And this was documented in Frank Strange's book, Stranger at the Pentagon.
Right.
And definitely worth reading as well. And this was validated by Admiral Byrd's nephew. At the very beginning of the book, says he had top security clearance, and he witnessed Val Thor meeting with them. These men, the president, vice president, did meet with him repeatedly.
And I'll add one thing. When we were doing our research, we brought in George Filer, who had worked at the Pentagon as a courier under Curtis LeMay. And George Filer told me and my crew that were there that he was told when he went to LeMay's office that there was a guest in the cafeteria from another planet. He was told that. So the reason why I'm even mentioning, God bless George Filer, he also had contact as a child, he told me, on these coasts, is that we need to go back to the source and get their words, not something from a book or, gossip. When George Filer tells me he was told that, and he worked for Curtis LeMay, then I know that it is not unusual to have visitors at the Pentagon at night. And then we have the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is exactly that story.
Yes.
It's exactly.
And when you watch The Day the Earth Stood Still, with the lens that these beings were actually here giving these messages to humanity at the time, takes on more import. It makes it more intriguing.
Right.
So he's meeting with Nixon apparently was very intrigued with what was going on. Eisenhower was apparently open to these messages, and they were in dialogue. And he was saying, you have to let go of your warring ways and stop using your resources to kill each other. This was a big message at the time, after World War II, right?
Exactly.
You have to stop doing this because it's going to bankrupt your planet. It's going to cause nothing but geopolitical issues, which, look around, read any headline any day. We're worse off by far than we were then, right?
Yeah, well, I look at it as a huge chess game. And the only way we can win this, everybody has to have nuclear. So if everybody has to have nuclear, then you're playing chess. And the only way you can win is to do checkmate.
Yeah.
Because once one, wins, everybody loses.
Right.
So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out we're on a dangerous trajectory. We're SOS. So one of the reasons why I went back to Highbridge is to ask for an intervention. And I've got to be honest with you, the three of us that went back did a meditation where Val Thor was and said, we may need intervention here because we're in the same situation we were during the Cold War.
It's important to point out, though, that there's been intervention all along since we've gotten,
Right.
we've developed these ridiculous weapons. There has been intervention. I don't see that playing out on this planet. I think we are coming toward you can see the struggle with the forces trying to keep this military game going. Ultimately, we're going to run out of cash, resources. People aren't going to show up for the wars anymore.